my name is Kate. I'm also known as Two Little Kits, and welcome to my FlossTube. Happy New Year! I can't believe it's 2026 already, and I can't believe that we're well into it already. That's just bonkers, but I have a bunch of pieces that I've been working on. I've got a new finish, I've got a new pattern, so let's get started. So I want to talk about the works in progress that I've been stitching this past fortnight because I'm excited about them. And there's a bunch to share, but I'm gonna start this FlossTube with my finished piece because that's very exciting that it's finished. So since it's the new year, and as you likely know, unless you're brand new to my FlossTube, I have been doing year-long projects the last 2 years. That means because we just finished a year, I've finished one of my year-long projects, and that's this piece here. And I have a cat fur in my glasses. There we go. So this is Flower Meadow. This is one of my DIY flower cross-stitch patterns where you roll 2 D20 dice and you marry up the numbers that you get on those dice with one of them as a flower shape and the other one as a color. And you stitch that flower for the day. So this is one flower for every single day of the year. I haven't counted them to make sure, but I kept track in a spreadsheet because I'm a total nerd like that of every single flower, and I haven't missed any days. So unless I missed the flower stitch that itself, then this is every day of the year, which is exciting. Love it, love it. So it also has these little signs that delineate when the new month either starts or ends, and they're not every single time it's a new month. So like this is the first one where it points that way to January and that way to January and that way to February. And then there's the next one, which is March and April, and so on and so forth. And then it obviously has my little banner down the bottom of Two Little Kits. And I do one at the start, which indicates the year that it was stitched for. I don't know. But yeah, this is Flower Meadow. And so in 2024, I did my flower field, which was more like this way. It wasn't this wide, but it was this way. It's a chore some days to do this. And I do sometimes spend a week catching up. Well, not a week. I do spend like one day catching up on a week is what I'm trying to say. So I will roll the dice a bunch of times, note down those numbers, and then stitch those 7 or whatever flowers in one go. So I tried not to do that for flower field, and it made me a bit stressed. So I let myself like lean into that, and it really helped not go too long without stitching a flower, because there was about 6 weeks for 2024 where I didn't stitch a flower at all, and then I had to spend like 3 days catching up on those 6 weeks of flowers, which felt really good once I was caught up, but I had a lot of guilt during those 6 weeks that like every single day I don't stitch it, I am just getting further and further behind. So there was probably the longest time that I didn't stitch a flower for this one was 2 weeks. I tried to make sure I was caught up for most of my floss tubes, and yeah, it made it a lot easier to manage. But I would love to know what you think of this. I'm not a fan of how long it is. It's really annoying like this to try and show it off. It's not too bad for things like Instagram where it's vertical stuff anyway, but if I could do this over, I would make it a little bit wider. I would probably go like with a wider bit of fabric and go this width, like add these empty spaces on to here. That makes sense, because then it would bring the whole thing up a bunch. But yeah, so that's Flower Meadow. It's all done. I'm very pleased. I should tell you stats. Hang on, I'll find the stats. Where did I save them? Oh my gosh. I've got some of them on the Instagram post. Okay, I'll just talk about the ones that I noted in the Instagram post that I did. So the most stitched pattern that I did was number 8, and I will overlay a image of all of these. when relevant. So yeah, the most stitched flower pattern was number 8. The most stitched color was number 12. My most stitched combo, so like pattern and flower together at the like, I feel like words aren't making sense today, but that same combo was flower number 8, understandably, but color number 9, and I stitched that 6 times. 8 and 9 combo happened way more often than any other combination. The longest gap between rolling the same number for flower was number 15, and that was 80 days. And color was number 17 at 94 days. So that is like, I rolled number 17 color on, say, January 9th, which is today. And I didn't then roll that number again for color until 94 days later, which is just, whoa. Like that's more than 3 months. That's just, whoa. And the other stat that I got was the last number to finally be rolled for the first time was flower number 20. I finally got that on March 4th. And color number 15, I got that on February 15th. So with flower number 20 on March 4th, I got every other number before March 4th, but I finally got 20 then, which I vaguely recall thinking back on that day, I'm finally stitching this flower. Oh my gosh. So if there's any other stats that you'd be interested in knowing about Flower Meadow, let me know. I can try and figure them out. But yay! So now I can roll it up because I've had it laying flat on my washing machine because I knew nothing would disturb it there since I finished it and ironed it and took pictures for that post. But now I can do that. I'll put it somewhere now. For reference, this is the flower field that I did in 2024. So it's like totally different colors, all different flowers. And yeah, as you can see, it's a wide piece. It's curly because I rolled it up. I don't know what to do with them, but I like having them so that I can use them as marketing, basically. But yeah, that was 2024. And obviously this one had 1 extra flower because it was a leap year. I should have started them last year. I made it a series of 3. I wouldn't have had a leap year. Oh well. All right, back to my notes. What should we talk about next? Let's talk about my new pattern that's available on my website. And I've just realized I haven't actually put it on my Etsy store and my Ko-fi store. So first I'm gonna write myself a note to do that. Okay, so my newest pattern is the 10th in my series, my Zodiac series, which is Capricorn. And it's this piece here. I stitched this in record time. Yeah, so the story is I completely forgot and then put off and then forgot to do this. I knew that I needed, let me start that again. I knew that December would likely be a little bit tough about keeping up with this series because December, you know, just there's always stuff on. I usually get kind of almost last minute orders for gifts that people want to give to people and you know, all that kind of stuff. And also I have gifts that I want to give to my family that I want to stitch. So I went in with this series knowing that Capricorn might be later than I would have liked to release because I did want to release this back on the 22nd, that's right, December 22nd, because that was the first Monday that wasn't a FlossTube day where it was Capricorn season. Obviously the 22nd of December is just like in the throes of holiday mode. It was the first day of my girls' winter break. Obviously the 2 weeks leading up to it was the 2 weeks finishing the school semester, just like getting ready for Christmas and getting ready for the winter break. So when I finally sort of connected the dots of the date and the fact that I needed to, well, wanted to get this done, it was too late. And I sort of was like, okay, well, I'm gonna need to lean on my backup plan, which was the fact that I wouldn't be releasing, I'm losing my voice today. I wouldn't be releasing Aquarius until February 2nd, which gave me like an extra 2 weeks to release Aquarius. Yeah, so I didn't release it until this week, or when I released this last week. So I ended up doing on the 6th, and that was because of extraneous circumstances, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, it's here, it's ready. It's number 10 in the series of 12. It's another one that doesn't have the little dots on the sides of the name because the name's really long. Aquarius is the same thing. I just only had so much space. So yeah, but let me know what you think of this one. That would be awesome to hear. But it's done. It felt very good, and I say that it was super fast to stitch because I got the pattern ready on the 2nd of January, which was a Friday. I completely forgot to stitch anything of it the next day. I don't know how I managed to do that. And then I woke up Sunday morning and, you know, got everything set, like got dressed and got the kids some breakfast and got myself some breakfast. And I sat down and I'm like, oh no. And so I did so much stitching on the Sunday and it wasn't ready quite yet on the Monday, but then Monday was just crazy. So yeah. Anyway, go get that now. And I will likely have it on my Etsy and Ko-fi by the time this is released. So if you prefer to shop on there, I understand, and they'll be there. So that's that. Let's talk about works in progress now, because I'm excited. I've got things to share. I've got a new thing. Well, 2 new things actually. I've got a piece that you haven't seen for a little while. My phone keeps buzzing. I should put that on silent. Hang on. It's currently charging. Yeah, I've got 2 new pieces. I've got one that you haven't seen for a while and one that I have caught up with this as a stitch along. So what should we start with first? Let's do this one because it's small. So this is the Starry Night, and I'm gonna have to look up who it's by again because I just don't remember. It is by The Stitch Patterns. So this one's almost done now, and you can really see it now. I've got some more green to go down the bottom and then some more in this empty space here. And then I've got, I think, 2 more colors to go. So the empty spaces is just a lighter blue than what you mostly see like here. And then there's, I think like a dark gray or something that goes in here and a little bit over here. And then it's all done. And then I get to see if the little frames that I bought, which I've got here actually, if they fit in that without the mat, the little mat in it. So they should fit so that it wraps over the edge so that it's full within the frame. But yeah, and then I'll figure out where I want to hang them and just quietly hang them without asking my husband's opinion. So that's the Starry Night. The next one is the stitch along that is active that I'm working on, and that is Flower Dragon Meadow by Flossie Fox Shop. I am caught up. So usually she releases a new part the day before she says she was going to, which is actually today that I'm recording. So it hasn't come out yet. I was looking at my email before I started recording. So I am technically caught up, which is awesome. I didn't think I'd be able to, given how much I needed to stitch for December, like the Zodiac and Christmas presents and commissions and everything. But yeah, I'm trying to peek and make sure it all fits. And so there's only one more part, and yeah, that comes out today or tomorrow. It's supposed to come out tomorrow, but we'll see when it happens. I'm hoping that maybe the last one is going to be a yellow dragon, or like orangey yellow, because there are 3 yellows. Like one of them would have to be like an orangey color, and that would be the shading. But I'm hoping, yeah, that it's a yellow dragon, and that'll like make it all even, I guess. Because I'm kind of sad that there's 2 red ones. I don't know why. I can't explain why, but I feel like this one could have been an orange dragon. I don't know. We'll see what happens. At least it's a lighter color. It's got pink wings instead of the black wings. Maybe that's why it's there and it looks a little different. I don't know. I'm not in her head. But that's that one. And the, I don't know if the little red dragon has a type. Pretty sure this is a grass dragon. This is a wood dragon, obviously. Yeah, I don't know. I have to pay more attention to the files that I get. Now I gotta dig into a different bag to get works in progress. This one. So to try and help myself, I have already designed and am working on Zodiac Aquarius. This is where I'm up to so far. So it's like a big red jug that's pouring water out. It's a lot more chunky feeling than a lot of the other ones. So I'm hoping that it doesn't look too out of place. I do like how it came out with the design. That's going to be Zodiac Aquarius. And on that, as a tangent, I do have Zodiac Pisces ready to go. Like I sketched the design, I've turned it into a pattern, and I even have my piece of fabric ready to go. So once this one is done, it doesn't matter if it's been released or not, I'm getting started on Pisces, because I feel that end of the end of something big coming. Like I could just reach it, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm excited. I want to work on something different, I guess. Now let's do this one. So this is the piece that you haven't seen for a little while. This is a stitch along that was finished a while ago. It was last year. It's Extraordinary Birds by Lola Crow Cross Stitch. I've been sort of just chugging along with this. Basically, once I finished the last part for Flower Dragon Meadow, I picked this back up and started working on it again. It's just really hard to hold up. So I finished the cassowary. That's what I was working on before. And now I'm working on the jumping birds that's in the middle here. My needle's in the middle of my work because the floss is really short. But anyway, so that's that one. And it's been really nice to pick that one back up again. She does amazing patterns. I highly recommend checking her out. All right, we're on to the new stuff now. And yes, I've got a massive freaking bag for this one. Because if you haven't seen my last few floss tubes, you may not know, but if you have, you might know what this one is. I decided in November last year to sign up for the Heaven and Earth Stitch Along, which is this, it's kind of like a competition in a way, where you get to pick one of, this year is 12 patterns. You can't do multiples, you can only pick one. You try and stitch the whole thing in 1 year. To preface that, like asterisk, I am not planning on finishing this year, because the reason you want to try and finish it in 1 year is to unlock all of the other patterns and be able to stitch them as well. There's a lot of the patterns that I don't like the look of. I'm not interested, and I can pass on the other ones. Like, I'm happy to pass on them. I think you need to stitch a minimum of 6 full pages, I believe, to unlock it. But like, the more pages you do, the better. So this is where I'm up to, and this is the first time I am doing parking, which I've like read about a bunch in the past, but I've never actually done, because I've never done a piece that's this big. Like this is huge. Like, next to my head, this is a massive piece of fabric, and it goes all the way out as well. It's all wrapped up here to help me to stitch it. But this is going to be enormous. I am stitching this on 25 count, and it's 1/1. So I'm stitching, when I say 1/1, in case you don't know, I'm stitching 1 strand over 1 square. So it is tiny. And 25 count fabric means there are 25 squares per inch, which is a lot. The other pieces that I've shown you, except for the Starry Night, they're all on 18 count. The Starry Night is on 14 count. You can imagine that those are much bigger squares. So yeah, this is what I'm up to. The hardest thing I've found about this is the pattern, like just keeping up with where I'm at. That's been the hardest thing. So I have been considering investing in Pattern Keeper. If you have any information or want to rave about it to me or something, please let me know in the comments. I know it's pretty inexpensive, but I have just sort of put it off. I really like paper patterns, but for this, it's so much. There's, how many pages? There are 15 pages. And like, normally I stitch things that fill up one page, but this is the first page and the pink is what I've done. And I know for a fact that some of my highlighter is wrong. Like I have either marked off stuff that I actually haven't stitched, or I've not marked off things I have stitched. And the further I go, the harder it is to keep up and stay on top of it. So I figure with Pattern Keeper, if I'm understanding correctly, I can just be like, select this color, and it'll highlight those spaces where that color is, and I can just go beep, 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 and then mark them off when I've stitched them. If I mark off something incorrectly, I can just go beep again, and it'll mark it as not stitched. That's my understanding. Let me know if I'm wrong. But anyway, this is where I'm at. I did have trouble getting this, and I mentioned that in my last FlossTube. There was an issue with my email address. For some reason, it was bouncing the email that they were sending. I just wasn't receiving it. I wasn't even getting it in my spam. So I reached out on the Monday that I had to wait for to reach out, which was 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, can you try a different email address? I gave them my old maiden name email address and it worked. So I got it. So I started this on the 29th of December. And so this is less than 2 weeks of work, which is just like, oh my God. I'm only stitching this at home. I don't want to take it out with me, even though it is in this bag. It's a lot. Like all of the fabric is just a lot to handle, and using a box for my floss is really handy and has been such a good idea. I'm so glad I changed from floss away bags to this. But even just changing the color or getting a new strand of floss to stitch with, I just need lots of space, and I don't have that if I'm going out to like an appointment or something. So I've got other stuff that I can take out with me. This stays home, and it's really cool to sort of see it appearing. Let me know what you think. If you're doing the Heaven and Earth Design stitch along too, let me know which pattern you chose. The one I picked is called Fairytale. I think it's really pretty. But yeah, also if you've tried parking before, let me know if you've got any tips. I would love to hear them. Alright, so I gotta put this away carefully because the little magnetic bobbins are really, the magnets aren't very strong. They just like fly off. I already lost one of the backs of one of them. I don't know where it's gone. I think it's maybe in between the couch cushions or something like that. That is the first one of my new patterns that I've been working on, or new pieces that I've been working on. The last work in progress and my new piece that you guys haven't seen yet is probably what you can already figure out. It is Flower Prairie, which is my last DIY flower piece. And this is all caught up. This is all my days so far for 2026. And I'm gonna try and make it squarish because I did, as you saw, one that was really long, one that was really wide. So yeah, I couldn't find the same color fabric, which I'm a bit sad about. I shouldn't say that. I did find the same fabric color that I used for the other two, but it was only like this big. And I knew that that was not gonna cut it because I need more like this. So I bit the bullet and I got a different piece of fabric, and I'll use that other one for something else. I'm certain of it. So that is Flower Prairie. I've already got two doubles. I've gotten the same color and the same flower twice. I've gotten the same flower twice and the same color once. So these two blues, today's one and 2 days ago is the same blue. This is obviously the same flower, which is already my first back-to-back. And then this one and this one are the same flower. It does make me really think that maybe my dice are a little bit wonky. So I've just seen the time. I know I've talked a lot, like I realized as I was talking, but that's all my works in progress, and I really wanted to talk about them because I've been doing a bunch of stitching and it's really helped my head, which is important. So let's talk about some Two Little Kits things. The first thing I want to talk about is a new blog post on my website. I did post it a tiny bit late, but I did my wrap-up post for November, which I will put the link for that in the description below. November feels like it was an age ago, but it was only just a little while ago, and there was a bunch to write about. I'm gonna try really hard to get December's one done over the next week or two, fingers crossed for me, so that I can kind of get on top of it again. But I don't enjoy doing those posts necessarily, but I really like having them. They're really handy for me to look back and figure out a timeline of stuff. So even though I don't necessarily enjoy doing them in the moment, they're important for me, and I hope that other people find them interesting, of course. Other stuff that is Two Little Kits adjacent, as I mentioned, I have Zodiac Pisces ready to go, and I'll be stitching that once Aquarius is done. I'm gonna try to get on top of it early, so like when I work on a piece, unless I'm really feeling like working on something like the birds, or when like for example Flower Meadow Dragon comes out, I'll want to get started on that. But when I am not feeling something specific, I'm going to be working on Aquarius, so that I can get Pisces done and then be like, I'm ahead, So yeah, that one's done. I am working on a new merchandise and apparel design. It's called Love Supplier. I've been sort of tweaking it and fiddling with it, and I think I like where it's at right now. So I'm hoping to get that to you guys soon, asterisk. So keep an eye out for that. I am also working on a new cross stitch pattern, and I'm really not sure whether or not I should continue fiddling with it, because it is really cheeky and naughty. So I would love your feedback, basically. All it is a decorative border around an acronym, and it spells out STFUATTDLAGG. I'm not going to say what that means. If you really want to know, I suggest you Google it. Thank you, washing machine. Yay. Anyway, if you really want to know what it means, I suggest you Google it. Yeah. I don't know if I should. Like, my stuff is not that niche. Like, that's not the right way to put it. It's not this niche. It's this niche, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if it'll be received well. So I would love your feedback if you are willing to Google what it means. I'll leave it at that. The other thing, or the last thing that's Two Little Kits related, is I wanted to show off my Ort jar for last year. If you don't know, I save a jar of all of my Orts over every single project that I've done, whether it's cross stitch or embroidery, and I didn't do any embroidery last year, which is crazy to think. I've been saving them since 2018. I've actually got them like in a bunch of jars up there, and I plan on moving them to little shadow box frames, but I haven't yet. So I can't find the lid for this one. I think it's like amongst all the crap that's over there, but this is my Ort jar for last year. It barely fits, like I can't really push it down anymore, and I feel as though I'm missing a baggie of Orts, but this is my Ort jar for last year. I did so much stitching last year. Like, normally they're not this chock full. I'm just astounded. Let me know if you keep your Orts and what you do with them. I was planning a couple of years back to actually save them and put them into Christmas baubles. But then I was like, well, then I only see them at Christmas time, and what if the bauble breaks and all of that? So I decided on shadow boxes, which I'm not going to pull out because I've been talking forever. But they're like this big, and I was going to use my Cricut to just put the year in vinyl on the front of it. Yeah. And that is stitchy stuff. That's a lot of stitchy stuff. The last thing to talk about is IRL stuff, and the first thing I want to talk about with that, before I forget, is my last week, which I mentioned I would talk about earlier in the video. So I have been, if you don't know, I broke my toe 4 years ago, like a little over 4 years ago. And I didn't just break it, it like exploded in my toe. So I shattered the bone. It never healed properly. I've had 4 surgeries on it since then. The last surgery I had was about 18 months ago. That's kind of the backup of the history of it. I have found out, well, no, let me start again. On Saturday last week, so the 3rd, I woke up and the end of my toe was bright red. I know that I hadn't bumped it to bruise it or anything like that because the toe is completely bleh. And if I ever slightly bump it, like just sort of, then I feel it. I know that that's happened. It hurts so much. Like, it's incredible pain. And thankfully it goes away after a little time, but I know for a fact I didn't do that. So I was like, well, bleep. Like, what do I do about this? On Sunday, it started to throb and tingle, and I was like, okay, well, I'll give it one more day because healthcare in this country. And if it's still bad on Monday, then I will take next steps. I took next steps on the Monday. I went to urgent care, and then I got a call. I actually called my doctor on the Saturday and left a message, my foot doctor, I mean. I left a message, and they called me back just after I walked out of urgent care. Urgent care was like, I don't know, maybe it's an infection. So they gave me a course of antibiotics. I was gonna pick it up, but I got a call, like I said, as I walked out from my foot doctor saying, hey, if you can, we've got an appointment time in 45 minutes. So I'm like, yes, please. So I went, and he was like, no, it's not an infection. You have this thing called Raynaud's phenomenon, which basically means the blood vessels in my toe spasm and freak out and just don't know how to work properly. And it mostly happens when the toe is cold. It's winter right now. I live in Washington. It's cold. So it explains why my toe hurts a lot more in the colder months. It explains the redness that I had because one of the blood vessels is obviously just sort of popped and bled and then fixed itself and swelled up slightly, because right now it's still red, but it's like, you know how when you get a blister and it starts to flatten out and it gets all like smushy? So it's like that right now. It feels better when it's warm. So I've been wearing my slippers and socks all day, every day, unless I leave the house. And it doesn't hurt as much because it's toasty warm in there. I didn't take the antibiotics, thankfully, but yeah, I've had to deal with that. And then the best thing was my doctor suggested I take this stuff called slow niacin. I finally got that yesterday in the mail. I took my first dose of it yesterday, and then about 20 to 30 minutes later, I felt like my body was on fire. I was melting the ice packs that I had to try and cool me down. I started sobbing and crying hysterically. My husband was like, well, this isn't good. And so he called 911, and then suddenly 4 paramedics were in our living room trying to help me, and it was not good. So yeah, thankfully by the time they arrived, I had started to feel a little bit better. I was still really hot. They were taking vitals and my blood pressure was way up. My sugar levels were fine. I've got the finger prick to show that I had to get my blood levels done, and that's the thing that hurts the most now, because he squeezed and pushed the thing in to get as much blood to come out. I hate that they do that. Then they checked my blood pressure again about 10 minutes later, and it had come way down. Thankfully, when they checked it and it was really high, they were like, what's your blood pressure normally? And I'm like, I was just at urgent care and I know what it was. So that was helpful. Then at the end of that session, they were like, look, you seem better. The other thing, I was beet red all over my body because I was so hot. Yeah, he was the dude that was doing the most talking. He's like, look, you look a bit better. We can take you to the ER if you want to. Otherwise, we can leave you here and your husband can take you to the ER if need be. And I was thinking to myself, I don't feel good, but I don't want to go to the hospital. So I ended up saying no, and I'm glad I did, because by the time they finally left, I was feeling more like a 6 in pain rather than like a 9 or 10 in pain. By the time I went to bed, which was maybe half an hour later, the only thing that hurt was the backs of my hands and the tops of my feet. When I woke up this morning, I was all better. I won't be taking that stuff again. I am planning on calling my doctor once I finish recording and explaining what the hell happened. But oh my gosh, that was terrifying. I felt so powerless and I felt so horrible, and it came on so quickly, and I can only assume it was not just a reaction to the niacin, but it was potentially because I don't use my stomach, because I've had weight loss surgery. I had the bypass surgery, so I have my pouch, not a real stomach anymore. So that's my assumption, that maybe it had something to do with that. I don't know, but I don't want to take it again because that was horrible. So that's my fun story. The other things was that it's the new year. Happy New Year! We didn't do anything for New Year's Eve. We let the kids stay up super late, have like treats and things like that, which was nice. But we just sort of watched TV and bummed around before they went to bed. I think I even went to bed before the new year started, which is fine with me. And yeah, my kids went back to school. Hooray! Oh my gosh. I'm really glad they did, because I had so much appointments to deal with regarding my toe and just other stuff that I didn't really want to have ferried them around with me. So yeah, this is a crazy long video. I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for all of your likes and shares and comments and follows and everything. Please don't forget to like and comment on this photo and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate it, and it's free for you to do, and you can undo it if you want to. So until next time, I will see you around the internet. Bye.